So my name is Aniera. I've been at Lifehouse since 2018, and my history with addiction started at 11 years old. Prior to that, I had faced sexual abuse, as well as I was dealing with emotional and mental abuse. Like, I had the lowest self-esteem. I just didn't like the way I was. I would hear negativity in my environment that I was growing up in. My father was absolutely incredible, an amazing angel, but the environment wasn't the healthiest. He didn't have any form of addiction at all, but I would see him occasionally drink alcohol, and I remembered him on this particular day just talking about, oh, this calms me down. And in my mind, I was like, I wonder if that'll calm me down. One day when he was away at work, he had alcohol in the house, and I experimented it, and that one day led to an addiction with so much horrible things that had happened. Drinking at school, drinking at work as I got older, that led to like toxic relationships. I wasn't okay, but I was acting like, oh, I knew how to play the game. I knew how to go to work, go to school, and act like things were fine. My turning point for me to say, like, I have to stop this was at 24 years old when I was married at the time to my son's father. We had talked about starting to plan to have a kid. And all these thoughts and actions and behaviors that I absolutely had that was horrible led me to say, like, I need to stop this immediately. I did. I stopped that day, which was in September of 2006. And then I ended up replacing it with food. Because I didn't work through my trauma, I went from alcohol addiction to food addiction. When I got pregnant with my son, I was not a Christian immediately. And on August 23rd, 2008, I was married to my son's father at the time. It was leading me back to a pattern that was very unhealthy, toxic, and very dangerous for my son and I. And I left, and I remember sitting in a parking lot. I'm like, I don't know what this looks like, but I'm just gonna talk to God. I'm like, God, if you're real, please help me get back to my parents' home. Out of the blue, the security guard, came near my car door, was banging on the door, and I just started bawling. And he was like, are you okay? And I was like, actually, I'm not okay. I'm like, I was just praying to God, I need to get to Georgia. I have money for gas. And he told me, I can actually drive with you as far as I can till you're with the highway you need to be at. And he truly did. And at that moment, I was like, God, you're real. I went to church that day, and I gave my life to God in that car. And I marked off everything they had at church and said, I want to learn more about this Jesus. My faith continued to grow, but I wasn't fully healed. What really woke me up from that was my father's passing was a very unexpected passing. We found out 24 hours before he was at Merida's that he was going to pass away. And my first thought was, like, I want to numb the pain. As I'm sitting in the parking lot of the liquor store, all of a sudden I actually see a picture of my loved ones just pop up out of the blue. And at that very moment, I clicked out of my self-pity and everything I was going through. And I was just like, what am I doing? Here I am in a liquor store, and I looked, and I'm like, my daughter's in the car seat. I was ready to give up everything just for me to numb the pain that I was going through. I was able to drive back home, come to my senses, and I got on my knees and I prayed, and I was just bawling, and I was like, God, you saved me. There's so many people who's suffering like I am. I got to help other people. I decided at that very moment that I was going to dedicate it to, wanting to save others that had experienced same kind of trauma I did. And at that very moment, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go all in. And that's kind of how our Broken and Safe group got started. Everybody's welcome. And if you don't have an addiction and you just want to learn more about it, you're welcome too, because sometimes if we don't know, we need to learn. We need to educate ourselves. And if you're ready to get help today, please call me. Please reach out to somebody. It doesn't have to be me. Just reach out to someone that cares about you and get the help you need. We don't want to lose anybody any longer, and we need to change our county. And for that permanent solution, we need to do the whole recovery process, which is having God in our life, having a licensed therapist that's helping us work through the trauma. That's truly what helped me overcome a lot of the behaviors. And I'm still a work in progress, and I probably will be a work in progress for the rest of my life. But I look back and I'm like, wow, God, you helped me overcome my food addiction as well as my alcohol addiction.